epiphany. You know what I mean? And then eventually it got to the point where I was smoking the money that I was supposed to be giving to them.
Yeah.
You know, and these were some dangerous people. You
Just
know
like
what
the
I mean?
previous ones.
Just like
that
the
you didn't learn from.
Yes, I didn't learn. You know what I mean? I thought, I'd be all right. I'll make the money. I'll just sell my laptop or something. You know what I mean?
So your life is way less valuable than the drugs.
Yes. I'd justify ways. The drugs more important than my life. I'd justify ways to get the drugs and not to help my life or save my life. You know what I mean? And anyway, so yeah, them people ended up fine. Like I was living in a shared accommodation. I moved out my aunties, you know, living in the shared accommodation. They ran through the house, destroyed the house. Police were called, everything. I'm on top of the window, just thinking, fuck, do I just end it now? I'd had enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'd had enough. I was high on crack. I had no more crack left. You know what I mean? And these people running through the house and I could hear them downstairs. You know, I could hear them running through it. There was about 5 people living in this house. You know, I could hear them going from room to room. Mine was the last room, and I'm sitting on the window on the top floor thinking, do I just end it now?
How come it was a shared apartment?
Because it was shared living. It was like it's a house, but everyone has their own room. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. Okay,
so I'd pay however much for my room, but then we'd all share a
you wasn't
kitchen.
living with your auntie?
I did for the first month or 2.
Yes.
And then I moved out. That was it. My mum drove down to London, picked me up again, shipped me straight back up to Stoke.
So what happened when there was downstairs, the drug dealers?
Yeah.
They found you?
They got to the door and then, I was on the edge of this window, right? And they managed to kick the door off. And there's this big dreaded black guy, guy, scary guy. You know what I mean? I'd only seen him a couple of times, you know, whilst doing the work when I go into the house. And I didn't realize he was the big guy, you know?
Okay.
And yeah, it came in, he'd seen how fucked I was. And for some reason, they didn't, I was thinking they were going to really fucking hurt me. They didn't. They just took all my stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They took my laptop, they took my flip tablet, they took my shoes, they took everything. They just took everything. Because I think they'd already got enough things from all the other rooms that they'd been through. So I think that's kind of what saved me. That they got what I owed them in value from everyone else's rooms. You know what I mean? So by the time they got to my room, they were already happy with what they got. That's what I think in my head. You know what I mean? But I think they knew that police were coming because the other people had already rang the police and stuff. So they didn't spend much time in there. They gave me a lot of shit, shouted at me, everything, but they didn't touch me. That was a weird thing about it. I was thinking, I'm going to get fucked up now, like on a new level.
How much did you owe them?
Oh, maybe £700, £800. It wasn't, that's like the smallest debt I had.
Really,
But these people, they didn't fuck about.
No.
You know what I mean? £700, you know. And that's it. And then they left, you know, police came and then they asked questions. I was just silent. I was breaking down. I was on a come down. I didn't want to talk to police. I didn't want to have anything to do with them. I just shut the door and that was it. So I don't want to talk to you. That was it. And then my mum came down because she, you know, I think the landlord had called my mum, or I can't remember how it happened, but my mum ended up driving all the way down to London, picked me up. You know, I'm there in tears. I'm saying to mum, look, mum, I don't want to live anymore. I'm done with this life. You know what I mean? I hate my life. I'm just breaking down. You know, I can see the look in my mum's eyes. She's just broken. Really broken. And she's like, okay, right, you're coming back up with me. You know what I mean? So I went back up to Stoke, and now this is the next stage of my addiction. So I started hanging around the same people again. But in the time that I've been away, these people have moved on. They've found monkey dust.
Oh, yeah.
And monkey dust is massive in Stoke-on-Trent.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like nowhere, it's like, as far as I know, there's no other city that has monkey dust. You know what I mean? And so some people dabble about in it, but Stoke-on-Trent is known specifically for monkey dust.
Yeah.
And it's a massive epidemic right now in Stoke. Huge.
What is that also known as? Is it, there's another name for, is it synthetic?
It's a like
Weed?
synthetic. No, it's not weed, that's spice.
Spice?
Yeah, it's not spice.
It's not spice?
No, it's a completely different thing. If you type it in on Google, you'll see.
I haven't come across that.
Yeah, not many people have. You know, when I came into rehab into Thailand for the first time, you know, I told them what I was smoking, and they were like, "What's that?" They didn't even know. You know what I mean? The rehab that I've been to get off the drugs, you know, I think that they would know everything about. They didn't know.
Bro,
you know what I mean? But anyway, so I came back home with my mum. Started hanging around with these people again, and I found monkey dust. And this stuff is cheaper. You know, I'd get a 20 bag and it'd last me a weekend. So straight away, I'm like, fuck, this is amazing. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get in any money problems. You know what I mean? That's all I was thinking, is that I can avoid more problems and get high. I can get high still. Yes. You know what I mean? I can escape.
Yeah.
You know,
Continuously escaping your reality.
I couldn't sit with myself. I could not.
Ah.
I was filled of guilt, shame, regret. Just I couldn't. At that point, when I moved on to monkey dust, even before that, I couldn't look in the mirror.
You couldn't live with yourself.
I couldn't live with myself. I hated I couldn't live with myself, but I didn't have the balls to kill myself. I didn't have the guts to kill myself. You know, I think about my mom. I think about my dad. I think about my brother, and I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I think about them. That's the only kind of time I actually considered them during my using. You know what I mean? Because I was selfish during my using. You know what I mean? I thought, like I said before, it's all about me. You know, I'm hurting. I've been through this. You know what I mean?
Victim mentality.
Victim mentality. You know, and but then I'd think about all the things that I'd done, because I'd sober up now and again. You know what I mean? I'd sober up, and then I'd start thinking. I'd look around and I'd look at the damage that I'd done, and I couldn't face it.
Yeah.
Well, fuck this, I need to get high again.
Fast.
Fast. You know what I mean? And it was fast. And that search for just escaping myself, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know. All I know was what I could see. You know, was who I was becoming, and that was just, you know, a not good person to society. I hated myself as a family member. I didn't feel like a son to my mum. I didn't feel like a brother to my brother. Or a son.
Totally lost.
Totally lost.
When you went on to heroin?
So that was with the crack. The crack was, you know, I didn't have heroin much. I never injected somehow.
Oh, okay.
Never injected. It was always smoked, to smoke off a foil. And that's if there was no crack left. Because I like the high. I loved the buzz. I didn't like the downers so much. The only time I would have a downer was if I wanted to go to sleep, or I needed to go to sleep. That was the only time I'd take a downer. Was to get to sleep, and was to stop my mind telling me to go get more crack. You know, I'd smoke some weed that I found on the floor in some park or something. You know what I mean? Or if someone had a little bit of heroin, you know, I'd be like, okay, let me get a bit of that, and I'll go to fucking sleep. You know what I mean?
So with the monkey dust, how long was you on the monkey dust?
I was on the monkey dust for about 8 or 9 months. And that was the last part of my addiction. And as soon as I was on the monkey dust, that was when I decided to go homeless.
Okay, go for it.
I couldn't be in my house anymore.
Okay.
I had too much paranoia. I had a home to go to, but I decided it was better off for me and for my family's safety that I go homeless. I go live on the streets. That was a decision that I'd made. I didn't get kicked out. All my mum and dad wanted me to do was come home. That was it. But I couldn't, out of fear. I was afraid. I was afraid of people coming to the house. I was afraid of, I wouldn't stay in the house. You know what I mean? I knew that if I stay in that house, I'm going to find something. I'm going to go and sell it. I'm going to be stealing from my family. I knew that. You know, I knew the damage that I would create. I'm on this stuff now. This is it. I'm not, and there was no like plan, oh, I'm going to come off it. I never thought about stopping. That was not a process that ever came through my mind. You know, maybe I should stop. That was not a thing, you know. So I decided to go homeless, you know, living in Stoke-on-Trent, on the streets, going from sofa to sofa to sofa if I could, you know, because a lot of people, you know, I'd fuck over.
Yeah.
The people